The Pacific Ocean is really big, much bigger than you might think. It covers about 165 million square kilometers, which means you could fit around 16 United States in it. Welcome to another video by David Walker. There are 5 oceans on Earth, and the Pacific Ocean is the largest of them all. Surprisingly, the total possible land surface on our planet is only 149 million square kilometers. If we ignore the other 4 oceans and just focus on the Pacific Ocean, it alone is bigger than all the mountains, deserts, jungles, and islands combined on Earth. If someone gets lost here, it's almost impossible to find them. But today we'll talk about a person who was lost not just for a few days, but for 14 months in the Pacific Ocean. A survivor who spent over a year on his tiny fishing boat, battling the wild ocean waves. The name of that person was José Alvarenga. He lived in a small village in Mexico and was a 36-year-old expert fisherman. On November 17, 2012, José went on a fishing trip with his friend Ezequiel Cordoba. They had a small 23-foot fishing boat. They planned to spend only 30 hours at sea. Therefore, they took limited food and drinks with them, thinking it would be a quick trip. Little did they know that the next 438 days would be the worst days of their lives. They sailed 75 miles from Mexico's shore and cast their net into the sea. After some time, a terrifying storm arose, bringing them close to death. To ensure their safety, they abandoned the net and rushed back to the shore, piloting the boat at full speed for 6 hours. They narrowly escaped the storm. By 7 in the morning, they were only 12 miles from the coast. But fortune soon turned against them. Just 12 miles away, their boat's engine broke down. Now they were stranded at sea with no oars or means to move their boat. Fortunately, they had a radio, their only lifeline. They used it to signal their boss for help, and all they could do was wait. But then disaster struck. Their radio went dead. Now they were completely alone. No help arrived after they sent the signal. 5 days had passed since the accident, making survival even tougher. The wind had drifted them about 250 kilometers away from the shore. They were completely lost in their small, camouflaged white and blue boat. They had no flares, and igniting fire on their boat to signal for help was impossible. José and his friend had realized their chances of survival were now even lower than the food they had brought, which had already run out. When it came to food, they had to get creative. Even though 88% of marine life has been badly affected by severe plastic pollution, it turned out to be a lifesaver for José and Ezequiel. They gathered over 70 bottles and filled them up when it finally rained. In the beginning, they ate a lot of turtles because they were near the shore where many turtles lived. They caught the turtles, killed them, and drank their blood, which had turned out to be extremely healthy. Then they ate the turtle meat. Sometimes small sharks would follow their boat. If the sharks were small enough, José grabbed them by the fin, and they ate their livers because they had found out it was full of oils and nutrition. So their crazy diet had mainly been turtles and shark liver. As they drifted further away from the shore, they came up with a cruel way to catch birds. They waited for birds to land on a stick they had set up on their boat. When the time was right, they grabbed the birds and broke one of their wings. This way, they had gathered lots of birds on the boat for food. Around 6 to 10 weeks into their journey, they had been trying to figure out if it had been Christmas by looking at the full moons. They decided to have a Christmas dinner, each having 2 birds. José prepared the birds for eating, but as soon as Ezequiel took a bite, he started feeling sick. Bubbles started coming out of his mouth, and he quickly became very ill. They hadn't been able to understand what had been wrong until they checked one of the bird carcasses and found a small, poisonous yellow snake in its stomach. Ezekiel was poisoned because the bird had eaten the snake. They spent a whole night fearing for his life. José took care of him and helped him recover. But Ezekiel had lost his confidence in eating. José tried to feed Ezekiel with small pieces of food, but Ezekiel was too scared to eat and eventually passed away in José's arms. José was truly alone. About 10 weeks had passed. José noticed a bird that was different from the rest on his boat. He decided to make this bird his pet, bringing it into his small shelter. He named the bird Pancho. This bird became a very important part of José's survival because, with Pancho, he was not alone. As days passed, José's hunger grew. He started with 6 birds, then only 4, and finally ran out of food. So he looked at Pancho. At night, he covered Pancho's head, snapped his neck, and then devoured him. Losing Pancho left him deeply sad. Pancho was a bird he cherished. Feeling famished, he contemplated eating his pinky. But he panicked, not because of the thought of consuming his finger, but because he feared he couldn't stop the bleeding. One day, a ship came so close to his boat that he thought it was going to get rammed. By then, José's clothes and beard were pretty ragged. He jumped into his boat, hoping someone would see him and lend a hand. He spotted 3 men fishing on the other boat. José felt relief, thinking they would rescue him. But they only waved and moved on. At that point, José felt so hopeless that he started thinking about ending his life. Days passed, and after traveling for 13.5 months, José began to see some changes. The ocean finally decided it was tired of carrying him. On January 30th, 2014, after waiting for 14 long months, he finally noticed some coconuts bobbing in the water nearby. Seeing those coconuts gave José hope that land was nearby. Before long, he spotted a small island. It was the Marshall Island. José couldn't afford to miss this chance, so he jumped into the water and swam towards the island. It had been a tough 14 months since José had touched solid ground. He slowly dragged himself onto the shore. His legs were too weak to walk, so he pulled himself up onto the beach and drifted into sleep. Suddenly, a sound interrupted his slumber. It was the crow of a rooster, signaling the presence of humans nearby. Determined, he began to crawl across the small island. Soon, a couple emerged from the island, the sole inhabitants of the land. At first, they mistook him for an animal scrambling along the shore. However, they eventually realized he was a man. With kindness, they carried him to their home, where they prepared pancakes, which he eagerly devoured. The couple contacted the U.S. ambassador, who reached out to Mexico. After some investigation, the Mexicans confirmed that a boat by that name had been lost a 1.5 years ago. Finally, they found José and brought him back home. Seeing his family again after 14 long months made José really happy. I hope you found our video informative. Please show your love and support by liking this video and subscribing for more. We'll catch you in our next exciting video.